It's that time of year, Thanksgiving, where we make great desserts. Need a little help with your menu? Thanksgiving desserts, today on Let's Cook. I love Thanksgiving. The reason I like it so much is because I get to make different foods that I might not make year-round, and the family gets together, and it's always a special time of year. You know, it gets a little colder, the family gets together, you're close to Christmas. Unbelievable. So let me just go over the menu that I'm doing for my desserts. I'm making a pumpkin flan. Then I'll be making a pecan crusted sweet potato pie. Then to top it off, an apple tart made with puff pastry. Out of this world. Now, flans are, flan is a custard. It's kind of you either love it or you don't. But to make this flan, I'm using molasses to make my caramel, but I have a little bit of trivia about the flan because it goes back where the first and simplest of all pumpkin puddings made by the Pilgrims involved picking the pumpkin, washing it, hollowing it out, filling it with cream or milk, and baking it whole. Eventually, this developed into a pudding, and that's what we're doing today because a flan is really a pudding. The first thing that I have to make is I have to make the caramel, but I'm making a molasses caramel. Now, to make that, this is very simple because all I'm going to do is take some sugar, put this in a nice heavy gauge pan. Along with that sugar, I'm going to put a little bit of water, about 1/4 of a cup of water there, about 2 ounces of water. Then I have to put in the molasses. I'll use a measuring cup, and this can be a little bit of time here to get this in because you can see here where the molasses takes a little bit of time to come out of the cup there. And all we do with this is we bring this up to a simmer. Let this cook down till it starts to caramelize, but you do need to mix this together just a little bit. And when it's ready, it's going to be a syrupy consistency, and it'll stick to the back of the spoon. Then what I do is I take that and I put it in a dish that I've sprayed with a little bit of oil, and I let it actually firm up so that the caramel sticks to the bottom there and it's nice and firm. Now I can get my custard in. But I'll show you exactly what this looks like before we go to break because this doesn't really take that long to come up. So I'm going to go ahead and let that come up, and you need to be careful here that this doesn't boil over. So I'm just going to turn this down a little bit, let that boil. Now to make the custard, that's so easy. I have some sugar here. So I'm going to put my sugar in the bowl here. Along with the sugar, I need a pinch of salt. Then I have my pureed pumpkins, which means I just went out, I bought a can of pumpkins, and I have my 2 cups of pumpkin there. I also have a splash of vanilla, a little bit of vanilla there. Now we need to get the eggs in there too. Now to get the eggs in, I've had too many problems with shells here, so what I like to do is I like to break them into a bowl first, making sure I don't get any shells in there. This way I can actually see the shells. And as I look in this bowl right now, I do have 1 shell in there. So it's always a good idea to, to bless the egg a little bit, then break the egg, put it in the bowl there, get rid of that right here. I'll get this little piece of shell out right here. Come here to me, shell, come to me. Now, if the shell doesn't want to come to you, there's another way you can do this. And actually, I should show you to do that too because you can actually strain the flan too. So then we add our milk to this. We beat this together here just to dissolve those eggs there. Break up those yolks. And you can see that this doesn't have any heavy cream in here. It's just eggs, pumpkins, sugar, vanilla. These are all broken. I'm going to put this in here now and mix this together well. We really want to mix this well. Now, the other thing that you can do with this, which is a nice idea, is if you do have, let's say, any egg in there or anything else at all, you can strain this off through a strainer if you really want to be very particular about your flan. But I do like a little bit of texture, but I'm just going to show you how you would strain this off anyway. Come over here, I'll get my strainer. Now, before I strain this off, I just want to show you here. This is what my caramel looks like now that it's cooked down. Where I take it, you need to let it relax. It's going to coat the back of the spoon, almost be syrupy. Don't touch this with your hand. You see how this coats it well? Don't touch this with your hand because it's roughly over 300 degrees. Then you just take a pan like this, spray the pan, let this calm down a little bit here. Then you take this, pour this in the pan, let this cool down, let that set up. With the pan that you cook the molasses and sugar in, get that under running water right away because it's very hard to clean. Now once it sets up, this is what it looks like here. Now my custard is now ready to go. I then take this. I told you I was going to strain it. You can strain this to get rid of any of those solids in there you might want to get rid of. Just strain this through, and this is a good idea. You really won't lose. You'll see, I don't lose that much, but it's going to give it a really beautiful texture. So I have this here. Now I'm going to bake this in a water bath in the oven until it sets up nice and firm. This is what it's going to look like when it sets up nice and firm. Put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then I just take a knife, bring it out about a half an hour before I'm going to unplate it, run a knife around the side, take another plate right here, come like this. You need to do this relatively quickly because there will be syrup coming out of this. I pop this over like this, set this up right here, then we just pick this up and we have this beautiful flan out of this world. Doesn't this look fabulous? So our flan is done for our Thanksgiving. We need to take a little break, but then when we come back, we're talking pecan crusted sweet potato pie, Thanksgiving desserts. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where we are doing Thanksgiving desserts. Now, this next item, it's a pecan crusted sweet potato pie. So the first thing we have to do is make the pecan crust. So actually, we're making a short dough to make the pecan crust, but I tell you, I got this new chopper that just amazes me. So I have some pecans in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and almost make a flour out of these. Done. Out of this world. Doesn't that look, see how nice and fast that works? So to make the dough, now it's really easy because all I do is I take my pecans with my flour, with my sugar, with a pinch here of salt, with my cold butter. It should be cold butter. Make sure it's nice and cold. With about 2 ounces here of water. Go like this. And all I'm going to do is let this go until it all kneads together. Whoops. There we go. Now, I'm going to leave this alone because actually, you know, this will work. I could help it along here a little bit, but I think it'll just be fine. And eventually that will ball up. I then put that in the refrigerator. I let it rest. After a while, the next day even, I have this right here. I take this out about a half an hour before I need to use it. That way, it softens up a little bit. Okay, now you're frustrating me, so let me just drop this back in here because I want you to realize this dough recipe does work. There we go. It's going to ball up on me now. It's just got a little stuck there. So here we go. A little bit of flour right here. A little bit of flour on top. A little bit of flour on my rolling pin. Come here, I roll this way. I go this way. This way, and I'm going to roll this so it's somewhat thick, but I only need about, a 12-inch round, and here we go. See the dough now. When the dough comes out, this is what it looks like, and all you do is press it together, put it in the refrigerator, it works. Coming back over here, because it's warm in the studio here, and when you work with the dough like this, you need to be careful with this. So now I'm going to take this, making sure it's not sticking. Just pick this up ever so gently. Now, I have my tart shell right here. Just going to take this, transfer this to my tart shell, getting this centered. And again, remember, this is a little fragile. Then with my hand, I just pinch this so it comes up nice and clean to the edge. Making sure it's the same thickness all the way through. See how easy this is? Beautiful. If I make a hole or I break it, doesn't really matter because I can just take the dough and I can patch it. Then all I do is I take a knife, come over here, come along the edge here, and remove the excess dough so I have a nice clean edge. If I have a spot here that I think is a little short, I can just put that in, patch it up. Works wonderfully. So this is now good to go. Take this dough, because there's nothing wrong with what I took off there. I'm going to add it to this because we always know that for Thanksgiving you need to make more than one pie, especially with your neighbors. Now, the next thing I have to do is I have to make the sweet potato filling for this. So, in order to make that, the recipe calls for 2 to 3 sweet potatoes. I buy them already out of the can. I drain them off. This is what they look like. They're very well cooked. I don't have to worry about it. I just run them through a ricer here. And I just puree all the potatoes right through the ricer here. Easiest way to do it. You could also just put it in a machine and you could blend it up too, but I don't want that much air in here. So I'll just take these. So I just force them through the ricer there. This is such an easy recipe too, and it's actually very rich. It is a little expensive to make though. Should tell you that, just a little expensive. Come over here, run this through. And again, if you have leftover sweet potatoes or you want a little bit more intense flavor, you can bake them yourself. But you don't really have to. So I take my sweet potatoes here, just like that, out of this world. Now, to go along with our sweet potatoes for the filling here, I'm just going to start to put the ingredients in here. I have some melted butter here I'm going to put in. I have my flour, white sugar, my brown sugar, my sweetened condensed milk, that goes in, my heavy cream, a little bit of lemon juice that's going to help coagulate it, 2 egg yolks, and 2 eggs. So I always break our eggs separately because I don't want any shell in there. I don't always do it, but there we are. That's there. Then I add my seasonings. So I'm going to put in my mace, my cinnamon, there we are, my nutmeg. Almost like it's like a pumpkin pie. Then all we do with this is we just take this, you're going to mix this up just till it comes together. Beautiful. Out of this world. And then all we do with this is we take this and we put it in our pie. You're going to bake this. Now, this does take a while to cook. So when you put this in, can I have a rubber spatula, John, please? Thank you. When you put this into the dish here and you bake it, it does take a while in the oven, so you need to test this and you really need to let it firm up. I'm not going to show you having me put this in the oven. I already have one done here. Looks out of this world. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we're talking an apple tart with puff pastry you won't want to miss. Thanksgiving desserts. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where we are doing Thanksgiving Day desserts. Now, I love this because you know why? I get to use my apple peeler. Isn't this cute? Look at, and it's really cool is it has a suction cup. So when I go to attach it to the board here, I just take it, and I go like this. It's suction cup, and it attaches to the board. Then I take the apple, put the apple right here, get it back on my board here. Then I just run the apple through my peeler. And it just peels my apple down. See how easy that is? Isn't that great? Now I'm using 2 types of apples. I have a Braeburn there, similar to Macintosh, and then I also have my Granny Smith. The Granny Smith, it's a little more tart, gives it a little nicer texture here to the apple tart. But done deal. Is that? I love pulling this out to use it. I really do. Now, for the apple filling for this tart, I'm actually using the mandolin. If you have one of these. And all I'm doing is I'm going to cut these into bâtonnets. So I just peel the apple, cut them down. So I have nice little sticks like this, or what we would call a bâtonnet. Don't even have to core the apple, because you can feel once you get into where the core is, usually about 3 swipes, it's done. So I just bring it down this way, turn it over here. Just be careful if you have one of these that you don't cut yourself. But see how nice and uniform that cuts the apple. So let me just get these out of the way now, because I already have sauteed some of these. Because what I do is then I take my apples, I saute them, which I have right here. I saute them with some golden raisins, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of butter, some cinnamon, just to soften them. They're not cooked all the way through, they're softened, and then I shut them down to allow them to cool off. That's the first thing you need to do, get those nice and cool. Now, the next thing we have to do, get our puff dough ready. Now, you can buy the puff dough already in the supermarket, already done. And where's my flour here? Just need a little bit of flour so I can roll this out. I'm just going to take this right here. And you can see you need to defrost these. What I do with these is I take these, I open them up after they're defrosted, and I let them sit this way because I really don't want any seams here. So now to roll this out, I simply hit my board here with a little bit of flour. Transfer this here because you don't want it to stick, and you love puff pastry or puff dough. Take this here. Now, this is my template, which means I would like to roll this dough here so it's just about there. So I have to come out, let's say, about 3/4 of an inch on either side. That's going to be my template. So take my rolling pin here, flour this, flour my dough. I'm going to come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, this should be nice and cold and right out of the refrigerator. We'll see how our template works. Does it work? Is it, see, it's perfect. See right here? The dough is coming out on all sides. Exactly what I would like to have happen. Now, what I'll do now is you do need one of these. I have a sill pad right here. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my dough, put it on this sill pad right here. Just make sure it's well centered on the sill pad. I take another sheet of puff dough, another sheet of puff dough right here. I do the same thing, but this I'm going to make a little bigger. This is my top piece. So here I'm just going to start from the middle, working my way out because I need this to be a little bigger and I don't want this to puff up too much. This is good. A little bit bigger here. Excellent. This now is going to go on top, but before it goes on top, what I do is I'm just going to take my apples right here, put them right in the middle with the raisins. They need to be nicely cooled down. Bring these right into the middle here. Then we take a little bit of egg wash right here. Actually, let me do it this way. Then bring this here. I'm going to bring this up here. I'm going to take a little bit of egg wash right here around the edges. I take this sheet right here, I put it on top of the apples, pressing out all the air. Okay? Then I take, here's my template right here. I'm going to take this, fit this right here, take our knife, come right around the edge here, not cutting into my sill pad here. So here I have my template right here. See how nice this is? Okay, beautiful. There we go. We're going to take this off right here, out of this world. That's why you want to keep this nice and cold when you go to use it. This is now centered on here. Bring it right here. Then, well, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, I'm going to egg wash the top and the sides of this. Then I'm going to take the pieces of extra dough that I have left and make a border. If you don't want to do that, you can take another piece right here and cut it into strips. You attach it on the sides, poke some holes in it like this, sprinkle some sugar and raw on top like this, and then this is what you end up with. I'm going to go ahead and get this on the tray here. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we are definitely cutting into our puff pastry apple pie. Thanksgiving desserts on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Thanksgiving desserts today on Let's Cook. We have about 35 seconds left, but we did this wonderful puff pastry apple tart right here that you could just finish with a little bit of powdered sugar. Out of this world. Then our sweet potato pecan crusted pie right here with a little bit of molasses flavored whipped cream. I have to taste the flan here right now because thanks for watching.